Hello, Commercial Photography 1, Miss Peterson here, and we're going to be talking about how a digital camera works. So I'm going to take you through this PowerPoint, and you'll need to take a few notes on a few of these things. Digital cameras can be confusing. How do you think a camera works? Well, we're going to jump right into it. Both digital and film cameras are basically just boxes with a hole in them to capture an image to the back of the box. But the main difference between film and digital cameras is what captures the light. So we're going to break it down because this is what makes things really different. In Greek, the word photograph can be broken down into two parts: photo, which means light, and graph, which means write. So a photograph is meaning to write with light. So what's in a camera? There's a bunch of stuff all through it, but we're going to talk about some main ones. We're going to talk on the pieces that are integral for the process of light getting into the camera and getting to the sensor. So these are the six parts of the camera that you will need to know for the quiz, and a few other things after that. The pentaprism, the mirror, the sensor, aspect ratio, shutter, and viewfinder. So the first thing that we're going to look back at is the body of the camera. And the body of the camera, the body of the camera is the outside part. So it's the box that houses everything, all right? This part and this part. Now, inside the camera, this is what you need to look at, all right? This is the lens that sticks out from the camera, all right? You're going to see these three pieces would actually be glass, and they're shaped different ways, and that's how the light gets in, all right? So we're talking about how the light gets in. So So let's kind of guess. I already told you this is the lens. I'm going to go back up a frame and pick up a few words. Pentaprism, mirror, sensor, aspect ratio, shutter, viewfinder. Okay? So I'm going to let you look at those things a little bit. Look at the shape of this. Look where this might be on the camera. If the camera is this shape and this is the lens. Right? What might these two lines indicate? And this is light. Okay, this is light going in. So what might this be? All right? So just think about that for a minute. Now we're going to go on and show you what these are. All right? The lens is this part. The mirror is what's reflecting. So see this mirror? It's on a diagonal because it actually moves. And it reflects up into this five-sided piece, and that is the pentaprism. Hello. Soon. Why? What do you need? Oh, well, I'm recording a lesson right now. Okay. Are you at home already? Oh, okay. All right. Oh, okay. 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 All right. All right. Love you. Bye. All right, here we go. So that pentaprism. Penta means 5. This is the viewfinder where you're going to look through, and this is the mirror that moves, and then you've got two things. This shutter is this first one, and it allows the light to either hit this sensor or not hit the sensor. The shutter will open and close in order to hit the sensor. So the very back line is where your sensor will be. Let's keep going. Again, here's the pentaprism, 5 sides. The light goes in and bounces off. Or you look in the viewfinder and it bounces off so that you can see through the lens. If you look into a DSLR camera with the lens on, without a lens on, you would be able to see it move. And I'm not sure if I have any pictures here. I don't. But those people who are in my class, we will actually look at those move. The sensor is a device that the back of the camera that helps capture the light coming through the lens. So if you had a film camera, the film would be picking up how the light moves. But with a sensor, it's actually digital data that it picks up in pixels, and it stores it on the memory card. So when you do get to school here, you will have to have your own memory card. Here is an example of a sensor, and I want you to notice this square right here. Rectangle, it is not a square. Notice the shape of this rectangle. It kind of looks like an older TV. Our TVs nowadays are longer, right? And the reason I want you to think about that is the size of the sensor is also the aspect ratio of how that picture is going to be taken, all right? And we'll talk about that in just a minute. There are multiple types of image sensors. Today, most of them use either a CCD, which is semiconductor charge coupled device. You won't have to know that for the test. Or an image sensor, CMOS, complementary metal oxide semiconductor sensor. You won't have to know that either. I'm just saying. But they use digital things inside. Both sensors have the same basic function, and they both have their pros and cons. Sensors not only come in different shapes, but they also come in different sizes, and this is what I was just speaking about, the aspect ratio. And ratio is a math term, one thing related to another thing. So in this case, it would be the height related to the length in a rectangle. So if it's like a movie screen, the height related to a long length, right? Or if it's an old television show, the height related to a shorter length. And that's also how you can get your pictures to look, or your videos. Again, here we go. Here you can see how different sensors pick up different aspect ratios. So this sensor is going to be, it's not just the size, okay? It has to do with what the size of the rectangle is. This red rectangle is a little bit longer, and the blue rectangle is a little bit fatter. All right, that's aspect ratio. Now, every digital photograph is made up of pixels, and it's not just the movie, which is super cool and fun, and you should watch it because it took place when I was in high school, when they were in the arcade. That was 1985, the year I graduated high school. Woohoo! Sorry, side note. Pixels are tiny dots of single color, so each one of these would be its own pixel. And when we get into video editing, especially if you're able to use Photoshop, you're going to see those in mighty ways. So modern DSLRs produce images that are complex of millions of pixels. So the more pixels, the better quality photograph you get. So they're often ranked on how many pixels. So they talk about megapixels. So a megapixel is 1 million pixels. So a 10 megapixel camera produces 10 million pixels. But let me tell you, my iPhone 10, I think, is 14 megapixels. So it already is bigger than when this was written 5 years ago. That was a big camera. So now we have megapixel cameras that go. The one that we have in school, I think, is 18 megapixels. And I don't even know what the new iPhone 11 is. Maybe it's even higher. Who knows? So this animation is showing how pixels go if you zoomed in really far. Okay, so here it's going to do it one more time. There's the pixels, and now you're zooming out. And then we get to see the color, all right? What happens inside the camera, and this part you will need to know for the quiz. And I've already kind of talked about it once, but let's see it. It has to do with the shutter, okay? So when not taking a picture, the light comes into your camera here, bounces on the mirror, there's the mirror, through the pentaprism to the lens finder, that's what your viewfinder, that's what you're looking through, okay? But, so see how the mirror is blocking this from coming over here? So that's just when I'm looking through, when I'm not taking a picture, but when I take a picture, watch what happens. This moves up. So see how this is going to move up. And when this moves up, the light, instead of bouncing, is going to be able to go to the back of your camera. So this one right here is your shutter that opens and closes, and the one in the back is what reads all the light. That's your sensor. So the shutter is going to open and close so the light can get on the sensor really quickly or longer. If you were taking a picture at night of the stars, you might have the shutter open for 5 minutes to get the light, or an hour, okay? But if you're taking a picture in the bright sunlight, you might have it be less than 1/100th of a second, and that's going to let light in against the sensor. When taking a photo, no light is reflected into the viewfinder because there's this one moment when you just can't see. But on digital cameras, the cool thing is, so we don't really have a viewfinder blackout unless you're looking through the lens finder, but sometimes you're actually looking at the back of the digital camera and you're going to see, a video screen. So you would actually see the whole time what's on that video screen. So some summary items. A camera has many interesting things: mirror, sensor, pentaprism, some of those other things. You'll need to know where they are, and it's basically going to be just that graph that I showed you. A sensor is what records an image. 1 megapixel equals 1 million pixels. When not taking a picture, the mirror reflects all the light to the pentaprism, which then reflects the light to the viewfinder. But when you take that photo, the mirror moves up, the shutter opens for however long you've determined, and the light gets into the sensor. So on the quiz that you'll be taking next week, it'll have some things from this slideshow and some from the other one about types of pictures that we did the last time we were in class. Well, I'm out. Love you. Miss you already. Go out and change your world for the better. Take care.